Listen to the wind, let it guide you home. Why does it have to hurt this much? Please say something.
Everything is going to be okay.
I think about you all the time.
It's okay. You're doing great. I'm always here for you.
What if I lose you? What if I never confess it? Hello.
Hello?
Hello? Should I?
Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Hello?
Good night, my love.
It's me.
Hãy thành công từng thời đi, ở là vương khi cái này vẫn chỉ động từng thời gian khi vậy chúng ta vẫn thì đối tượng không nào bây giờ là không những điều gì ta
I knew it was you.
I was just thinking about you, you know? Did I wake you?
No, I wasn't sleeping yet.
I guess I was waiting for something. The moon is really beautiful tonight.
It is. I wish you could see it from here.
I miss you.
I miss you too.
I wish I could be there with you. I just got home. It was a long day.
I know, but you did great.
My love for you continues to grow with each passing moment.
That's a funny joke you told.
Oh, you think so?
I want to share every single moment with you, from the quiet ones like this to the grand adventures.
I like this time of night.
Me too. It feels like our own little secret.
I hope you know how much I miss you.
He asked her why she had called, his voice curious but gentle, without pressure. She froze for a second, her lips parting without sound. She couldn't tell him the whole truth, not yet, that she had called because she was drowning in her feelings, that she had called because the silence of the night was too loud without him in it, that she had called because love had become too big to hold inside her chest alone. So instead, she said softly, I just wanted to hear your voice. There was a quiet stretch on the other end, and for a heartbeat, she feared she had said too much. But then he exhaled slowly, almost like a sigh of relief. I'm glad you did, he murmured. His words sank deep into her, anchoring her heart in a way she had never experienced before. The night around her seemed to grow softer, kinder. The moonlight felt warmer, the breeze gentler, as though the universe itself approved of the call. Her nerves weren't gone completely, but they were drowned out by something stronger, an unspoken understanding blooming between them. She knew, in that fragile midnight moment, that this was the beginning of something, even if she didn't yet know what. As they continued talking, their voices weaving together into the silence, she realized she could no longer imagine a night without him. The first call had become more than just a call, it was a doorway, one she had finally stepped through, and on the other side, he was waiting. The conversation lingered like the soft glow of candlelight, fragile, flickering, yet impossibly beautiful. With every passing minute, the air between them grew heavier, not with silence but with words left unsaid. She felt it pressing against her chest, that quiet ache of truth trying to escape, and she wondered if he felt it too. His voice on the other end was calm, steady, but beneath it was something she couldn't quite name, as though he too was carrying a weight he hadn't dared to share. Midnight has a way of stripping people bare, she thought. It is the hour when pretenses fall away, when masks dissolve, when the heart whispers louder than the mind. And in that hour, she found herself standing on the edge of confession, trembling but ready to fall. He asked her suddenly, softly, do you ever feel like there are things you want to say, but you can't? The question stopped her heart. She tightened her grip on the phone and pressed it closer to her ear, as though she could hold him through it. All the time, she whispered, her voice barely more than a breath. There are words that live inside me, words I keep locked away, because I'm afraid once they come out, everything will change. There was a silence after that, but it wasn't empty, it was alive, filled with the weight of everything neither of them had yet admitted. He sighed, and in that sigh she heard his own battle, his own hesitation. I know what you mean, he said quietly. Sometimes I want to tell you things, but I stop myself. Not because I don't want to, but because I don't want to lose what we already have. Her chest tightened painfully. It was as if he had pulled the thoughts straight out of her. The truth was dangling there, fragile and trembling between them, waiting for just a little more courage to bridge the final gap. The moon above seemed brighter now, as though it was leaning closer to witness their honesty. The stars twinkled like patient listeners. Her heart was pounding too loudly for her to remain silent any longer. "Do you ever think about us?" The question slipped out before she could stop it, and the moment it did, her breath caught in her throat. She had cracked the surface, opened the door she had been guarding so fiercely. There was another pause, this one longer, but she didn't regret it. She couldn't. At last, his reply came, soft and steady, like a confession wrapped in velvet. "Every day," he admitted. "I think about us every single day." Her eyes stung with unshed tears. The night around her blurred, her vision misty as her heart swelled. She pressed her palm against her lips to stifle the sob that wanted to escape. All this time, she had carried the weight of her love alone, only to discover he had been carrying it too. What followed was a release, like floodgates opening after a long drought. They both began speaking, stumbling over words, laughing at their nervousness, confessing in fragments that pieced together into something whole. She told him how his laughter could turn her worst days into something bearable. He told her how her voice had become the last thing he wanted to hear at night and the first he hoped for in the morning. She admitted she was afraid of ruining everything, and he admitted he was afraid of living without knowing what could be. The vulnerability poured out of them, raw and unpolished, but it was real, and that realness was more beautiful than anything she had ever dreamed. Their confessions were not dramatic declarations, they were quiet, trembling truths that felt more intimate than anything shouted from rooftops. They were whispered promises wrapped in uncertainty, yet glowing with hope. "I like you," she whispered finally, her voice breaking with the simplicity of it. "I like you more than I should, more than I've let myself admit." There was no turning back now, her heart was bare, her soul exposed. She waited, suspended in fear and anticipation, until his voice came, firm yet gentle. "I like you too. I've liked you for a long time." The relief that washed over her was indescribable. Her entire body shivered, not from the cool night air but from the weight of unspoken love finally lifting from her shoulders. For a long time after, they just sat in silence, listening to each other breathe. Words seemed unnecessary now. The truth had been spoken, and it hung between them like a sacred bond. She leaned back against the balcony railing, tilting her head to the stars, tears sliding down her cheeks, but they were tears of joy, of release. The world had not ended with her confession. Instead, it had begun again, brighter and fuller than before. Love was no longer a secret locked inside her, it was alive, shared, and reciprocated. Midnight had given them the gift of honesty, and under the moonlight, their hearts beat together, finally unburdened. The night stretched on, but instead of feeling heavy, it felt infinite, like the universe itself had opened its arms around them. Their confessions lingered in the air, fragile yet powerful, and though the silence that followed was long, it was not empty. It was filled with the sound of possibility, of a new world being born between them. She leaned her head against the cool metal of the balcony railing, clutching the phone closer to her ear, her heart still trembling from everything they had said. For the first time in what felt like forever, she wasn't afraid anymore. The fear that had once tied her tongue was gone, replaced by a fragile but radiant hope. It was as if the moonlight itself had seeped into her veins, steadying her and whispering that love, once spoken, was too strong to be undone. He was the first to break the quiet. "So, what now?" His question was soft, almost tentative, yet it carried the weight of everything they had just admitted. She smiled faintly, though he couldn't see it, and let the words linger on her lips before answering. "Now, we stop pretending." It was simple, but it felt monumental. He chuckled gently, and the sound was like music to her ears, warm and full of relief. "I like that answer," he said. The ease in his voice made her heart swell. For so long, she had imagined this moment as something tense, filled with uncertainty. But instead, it felt like coming home. They began to talk about tomorrow not in vague, uncertain terms, but in real possibilities. He asked if she wanted to meet the next day, just for coffee, to finally see each other with this new truth between them. She felt her breath catch at the thought, but it wasn't fear this time, it was excitement. The idea of seeing him, of looking into his eyes and knowing he now carried the same secret she had guarded for so long, was almost too much joy to contain. "Yes," she said softly, and the word felt like a promise. Her answer made him laugh again, this time fuller, freer, as though a weight had lifted off both of them. Tomorrow, then, he said, and for a moment, tomorrow felt like a sunrise breaking through the long night. The conversation turned tender, full of dreams and hopes they had never dared to share before. She confessed that she had imagined what it would be like to walk beside him, to share little moments of life beyond the safety of their late-night calls. He confessed that he often thought about reaching for her hand when they were together, but fear had stopped him. Now, fear seemed like a distant shadow, powerless against the light that had bloomed between them. They spoke of simple things, a walk in the park, a favorite cafe, the books they wanted to share, the movies they wanted to watch together. Yet every simple detail was laced with the sweetness of knowing it was no longer just fantasy. The future was uncertain, yes, but it didn't scare them anymore. It felt like a canvas, blank and waiting for them to paint it with the colors of their love. She realized then that love didn't need grand gestures or dramatic declarations, it needed truth, presence, and the quiet promise of tomorrow. The idea that he would be there when the morning came was enough to make her chest ache with gratitude. It wasn't about forever yet, it was about the next day, the next step, the courage to live their love in the light instead of hiding it in the dark. As they spoke, dawn still felt far away, but she could feel the horizon shifting. The stars seemed dimmer now, the moon lower, as though the night was slowly giving way to day. And instead of sadness, she felt peace. Love had transformed the night from a place of loneliness to a place of beginning. She could almost imagine the sunrise already, its golden light spilling across the world, illuminating their new truth. "Promise me something," she whispered suddenly, her voice tender. "Promise me that tonight won't just fade away with the dawn." His answer was immediate, firm yet soft, like a vow spoken from the heart. "I promise. Whatever tomorrow brings, we'll face it together." Tears pricked her eyes again, but this time she let them fall, smiling through them. Midnight had been their secret, but tomorrow would be their beginning. And in that moment, under the fading stars and the watchful moon, she believed him. She believed in them. Love, once a whisper in the shadows, had become a promise strong enough to carry into the light. And that promise, she knew, would change everything. The clock crept toward dawn, though neither of them wanted to acknowledge it. Time had moved differently that night, stretching and folding in ways that made minutes feel like hours, and hours like fleeting seconds. She sat curled against the balcony railing, her phone pressed close, reluctant to let go of his voice. The world around her was beginning to stir, the faint chirping of early birds, the soft graying of the sky, but inside her heart, the night still lingered, heavy with tenderness. She wanted to hold on to this moment forever, to suspend it in the quiet eternity of midnight where confessions were safe, and promises glowed brighter than the stars. Yet she knew the dawn was inevitable. With it would come the weight of reality, the responsibilities of day, the questions and uncertainties of a future they had only just begun to imagine. And still, even as the sky lightened, she wasn't afraid. For the first time, the coming of morning didn't feel like loss, it felt like a gift. The clock crept toward dawn, but neither of them wanted to acknowledge it. Time had moved differently that night, minutes stretching into hours, hours collapsing into heartbeats. She sat curled against the balcony railing, phone pressed close, reluctant to let go of his voice. The world outside was stirring, the faint chirping of early birds, the grey softening of the sky, but inside her heart, midnight lingered, heavy with tenderness. She wished she could hold on to this moment forever, suspending it in eternity where confessions stayed safe and promises glowed brighter than the stars. Yet dawn was inevitable. With it would come reality, responsibility, uncertainty. And still, she wasn't afraid. For the first time, morning didn't feel like loss, it felt like a gift. Moon and stars, stars faint and fading, the moon paling against the growing dawn light. Balcony at dawn, she sits curled by the railing, wrapped in the soft blue of pre-sunrise, holding her phone close like a lifeline. Mobile phone, warm glow still shining faintly, a symbol of connection she doesn't want to release. The girl, young woman with long hair, posture tender and weary, face softened with peace rather than fear, eyes reflecting the pale morning light. The boy, her love in his own quiet room, leaning against his window, phone pressed to his ear, watching the first hint of daylight break. Eventually, they fell into a silence that neither of them rushed to break. It wasn't heavy, nor was it awkward. It was the kind of silence that spoke louder than words, a silence that said, "I am here, I am yours, and I am not going anywhere." She closed her eyes and listened to it, imprinting the sound of him, the faint rustle, the quiet sighs, the steady rhythm of his existence, deep into her memory. She wanted to carry this silence with her, like a secret treasure, into every day that followed. She wanted to remember that love could be as simple as being present, as quiet as breathing together across the distance. But the inevitability of time pressed closer. The sky outside her window was no longer grey but tinged with the faintest hues of pink and gold. The first light of dawn brushed against the horizon, and she knew their night was almost over. Her chest tightened at the thought of ending the call, but she also knew that letting go didn't mean losing. Their love, spoken at last, was not confined to midnight hours. It was strong enough to walk with them into the day. She wiped at her damp eyes, trying to steady her voice. "I should let you sleep," she whispered reluctantly. He chuckled softly, that familiar sound she already adored. "And you should rest too. Tomorrow is waiting for us." The way he said us made her heart skip. Tomorrow wasn't just a day anymore, it was their day. She lingered on the line, unwilling to hit the red button. The thought of silence on the other end felt unbearable, but he seemed to understand without her saying it. "Don't worry," he said gently. "I'll still be here when you wake. Tonight doesn't end with goodbye, it just pauses until tomorrow." His reassurance wrapped around her like the final thread of the night, tying together everything they had confessed, promised, and dreamed. She bit her lip, fighting tears that threatened again, and whispered back, "Good night." There was a pause, then his reply came, soft but certain, "Good night, my favorite part of every night." The call ended, but the silence that followed wasn't empty, it was full, brimming with everything they had shared. She placed the phone beside her, her heart still racing, her cheeks still damp. The sun was rising now, painting her balcony in pale gold. She sat there for a moment longer, breathing in the morning air, and smiled through her tears. Midnight had given them love, and dawn had given them hope. And as she finally rose to return inside, she knew her life had changed. The night had ended, yes, but their story had only just begun.